If you drive 2 hours south of Portland, you'll reach the little town of Maple Glen. It's the kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked. Neighbors share vegetables from their gardens, and the church bells still ring on Sundays. But in the fall of 2022, Maple Glen became the center of a murder so cruel, so calculated. It shattered everything they thought they knew about their quiet corner of Oregon. The morning of October 19th started like any other. A light mist clung to the pavement as school buses rolled down Evergreen Road and steam rose from the chimneys, dotting Maple Glen's older neighborhoods. Valerie Knox didn't show up for work at the public library that morning, which surprised her coworker, Janelle Brighton. She was never late. I mean never, Janelle told detectives. If Valerie said she'd be there at 9 o'clock, she'd be unlocking that front door at 8:58. That's just who she was. Before we begin, like this video and comment where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more intriguing stories. Now let's begin. By 11 a.m., Valerie hadn't called or texted. Concerned, Janelle called Valerie's husband, Evan Knox, a middle school history teacher. Evan claimed Valerie had left for work that morning after a minor disagreement and hadn't returned home. He sounded distracted, tired even, but he wasn't worried. She probably just needed space. Evan told the 911 dispatcher later that day, "We had a fight last night. I thought she was maybe just blowing off steam." But when police conducted a wellness check at the Knox residence on Hemlock Lane, they found the front door ajar. Valerie's car was in the driveway. Her purse was still on the kitchen counter. A mug of coffee had gone cold on the table beside a half-eaten piece of toast. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing stolen. No blood. No broken windows. Just an open door. And silence. Detective Aisha Monroe, the lead investigator from the county sheriff's department, was assigned to the case the following morning. Aisha was known for her precision and emotional detachment. She walked through the Knox home slowly, noting everything. The faint scent of Valerie's perfume in the hallway, the slight smudge on the refrigerator door, the bedroom made immaculately, almost too neatly. The thing that stood out right away, she said in her later deposition, was the normalcy of it all. It was like Valerie had just stepped out for a minute, but something felt staged, like someone was trying to make it look that way. Valerie Knox wasn't just a librarian. She volunteered at the food pantry. She organized weekly story time at the elementary school. She wrote articles for the local newspaper. People loved her, and when her disappearance made the evening news, the town practically stopped functioning. Flyers went up overnight. Volunteers combed the forests outside of town. The Knox home became a media circus. But Evan didn't help. He declined all interviews. He avoided the search parties. When people asked how they could support him, he said, "Pray for her. That's all we can do." And then something strange happened. 3 days after Valerie disappeared, a jogger named Carson Bell submitted trail cam footage to police. He'd been reviewing old memory cards from cameras he set up for deer tracking outside town. One clip, timestamped at 4:13 a.m. on October 19th, showed a man in a hoodie walking down a logging path. He was dragging a large duffel bag. The man was too far to identify clearly, but he moved with familiarity, as if he'd been down that trail many times before. And the duffel bag was the kind you take on long trips, or use to hide something. Police returned to the trail system and began combing the area with cadaver dogs. On October 23rd, they found it, buried beneath loose pine needles and disturbed earth, tucked under the gnarled roots of a fallen tree. A black duffel bag containing the remains of Valerie Knox. Her body had been meticulously wrapped in plastic and duct tape. No signs of blunt trauma. No visible wounds. Toxicology reports would later confirm she had been sedated with a powerful anesthetic, the kind used in veterinary surgeries. Whoever had done this hadn't just killed Valerie. They had planned it, down to the hour. The autopsy concluded what the town feared most. This was no accident, no disappearance, no crime of passion. Valerie Knox had been murdered, quietly, carefully, and left in the woods like a secret someone never wanted to be found. Naturally, the spotlight turned to Evan Knox. His alibi was thin. He claimed to have fallen asleep on the couch around 10:30 p.m. and woken up at 6 a.m. alone. His phone had not left the house, but the Knox's garage security system had a 4-minute gap around 3:50 a.m. No footage. No explanation. Evan offered none. Instead, he lawyered up. He just shut down. One of Valerie's friends, Claire Bennett, later told investigators he was weird after she died. But the weirdest thing was he wasn't shocked. Not really. It was like he already knew. Secrets behind the smile. Detective Monroe began re-interviewing Valerie's friends and co-workers. What she uncovered painted a much more complex picture than the town had imagined. Valerie had recently confided in her colleague Janelle about something disturbing she had discovered on Evan's laptop. She never said what it was, only that it made her feel sick and that she needed time to figure out what to do. Janelle brushed it off at the time. She didn't anymore. Valerie Knox's life looked perfect, but underneath the Pinterest-perfect house and the community bake sales was a secret. One she never got the chance to reveal, but someone else would, and it would tear Maple Glen apart. On October 29th, 6 days after Valerie's body was found, a brown manila envelope arrived anonymously at the sheriff's office. No return address, no fingerprints, just one item inside, a single USB drive. What the USB drive revealed would shake Detective Aisha Monroe's investigation to its core and send the town of Maple Glen spiraling into a panic of suspicion. Because if Evan Knox didn't kill his wife, then who did? And how had they been inside the house, under everyone's noses, for so long? The figure in the security footage wasn't masked, wasn't even in disguise. They walked barefoot, wearing loose pajama pants and a navy t-shirt. Their hair was tied up messily. They moved silently, not with fear, but with intention. And that face. Detective Monroe froze the video and stared. She recognized it. It was a face she'd seen at every press conference, every prayer vigil, every community outreach table. It was April Jennings, Valerie's best friend, and their tenant, the basement room. April Jennings had been renting the finished basement of the Knox home for nearly 8 months. Valerie had offered the space when April's divorce had left her short on money and out of options. She was like family. Valerie trusted her. She had a key to everything. She was at the funeral. Monroe whispered to herself. She hugged Evan. She read a eulogy. But none of that explained what she was doing standing over Valerie's bed at nearly 4 a.m. the morning of the murder. On October 30th, Monroe brought April in for questioning. At first, April was cooperative, even cheerful. Oh God, of course. Anything to help. I loved Valerie. She was like a sister. But when Monroe showed her a still frame from the USB video, April froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her hands trembled. She asked for a lawyer. The interrogation ended. And so began the second wave of shock through Maple Glen. A beloved librarian murdered. Her husband a suspect. But now her best friend, the woman living under her roof, was caught creeping through the house in the dead of night. Was April Jennings a killer? Or was this something worse? Something twisted beyond comprehension. The USB drive had one more surprise. A second folder, encrypted but easily cracked by the sheriff's digital forensics team, contained dozens of short clips. Clips of April in the basement, unaware she was being recorded, changing clothes, whispering to herself, staring at the ceiling, crying, smiling, sometimes all at once. But the most disturbing clip was labeled Night 12. In it, April sat at the edge of her bed, holding what looked like Valerie's scarf. She spoke quietly. She's the only one who ever saw me. The only one who ever cared. And he doesn't deserve her. He never did. She rocked gently. I'll make her sleep. Just sleep. Then we'll be okay again. Then she won't be afraid anymore. April's past surfaces. Detective Monroe expanded her investigation into April's background, which she found stunned even the most seasoned officers. 10 years earlier, in a small Colorado town, April had been institutionalized for 8 months following a psychotic breakdown. According to sealed court documents, she developed a parasocial fixation on a female co-worker, one that escalated into harassment and a suicide attempt when the woman moved away. She had no history of violence, Monroe explained. But the pattern, the obsession, the idealization, then the collapse, it was there. Then came the biggest twist of all. Valerie hadn't discovered something damning on Evan's laptop. She had discovered something on April's, in her private journal, which Monroe found stored on a locked USB. April kept in her bedside drawer. Valerie had written, "I don't know how to say this without sounding paranoid, but I think April is in love with me. She's been acting strange, saying things like, 'You're my soulmate,' and getting angry when I spend time with Evan. I saw her reading my emails. She watches me when she thinks I'm not looking. And 2 nights ago, I woke up and she was standing at the door, just watching." Valerie had been planning to ask April to move out, but she never got the chance. Valerie Knox had uncovered a dangerous truth, not about her husband, but about the woman she called her friend, the woman who had been quietly unraveling in the basement, right under her feet. With the evidence mounting, April's attorney arranged for a recorded psychological evaluation in place of a formal interview. April was deemed dissociative, emotionally unstable, and potentially delusional. In the session, she admitted to entering Valerie's room. She was hurting. She cried to me, even if she didn't know it. I gave her the injection, just something to help her sleep. I didn't mean for her to. She trailed off. Her face changed. Calm again. She was too good for this world. I wanted to keep her safe. Now she is. With April in custody and formal charges filed, Evan Knox was cleared of suspicion. But by then, it didn't matter. The town had already judged him. The neighbors who once brought casseroles now avoided eye contact. His students whispered in the halls. And Evan, he refused every interview request, refused to sue for defamation, refused to move away. He still lived in the house, alone, with the basement locked from the outside. On November 9th, during a routine post-arrest inventory of April's belongings, the evidence team discovered something else hidden behind a panel in the basement closet. Not photos, not journals, a tape recorder, labeled, "For her." Detective Monroe played it. April's voice crackled through. "Val, if you're hearing this, it means I was too late. I couldn't save you from him. You trusted him, but I saw it. I saw what he did that night in the shed. He thought no one knew. But I did. I always did. That's why you couldn't leave me. We were supposed to fix this together." Then silence. A new question emerged. What happened in the shed? And who was Valerie really trying to protect? The tape was a chilling revelation. A voice pleading from beyond the grave, accusing Evan Knox of a crime no one had imagined. But the truth, as always in Maple Glen, was far more twisted and darker than anyone suspected. Detective Aisha Monroe sat in the dim evidence room, headphones on, rewinding the tape again. April Jennings' shaky voice filled the space. "You think it's him, don't you? That Evan killed her. But he didn't. Not that night. It was the night of the harvest moon. The night Valerie went down to the cellar to find what I told her to. The cellar where he hid his secret. The secret she couldn't bear to uncover." Monroe's fingers tightened around the tape player. Valerie had been a historian by passion and profession. Her home was filled with relics and antiques, a reflection of Maple Glen's old roots. The cellar, however, was different. It was a labyrinth of old wine racks, dusty crates, and loose floorboards. What April claimed Valerie was hunting for was a box, a small locked box, that Evan had kept hidden there for decades. Monroe organized a search party with forensic experts. Behind a loose panel beneath the stairs, the team found it, a weathered wooden box, locked with a rusted latch. Inside were letters, photographs, and a small leather-bound journal. The photos were shocking. A younger Evan Knox with a woman unknown to the town, a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to Valerie, but was clearly not her. The letters were from a woman named Marina, dated 20 years ago, pleading for help and hinting at a dark secret that Evan wanted buried. Evan Knox wasn't the man everyone thought he was. The family he built, the life he portrayed, all a facade hiding a past steeped in deception, betrayal, and tragedy. Among the items was Valerie's last journal entry. "Tonight, I confronted Evan. I asked him about Marina. His face went pale, then hard. He begged me to forget the past, but I can't, because the past is what killed us. Monroe confronted Evan with the box and its contents. His composure cracked for the first time. "Marina was my first love," he confessed quietly. "She died. It wasn't an accident. And I never told anyone because I was scared." When pressed, Evan told a story of a violent feud between two families, a brutal accident, and a cover-up that involved lies, silence, and blood. The tape's cryptic message about what he did that night in the shed suddenly took on new meaning. Monroe and her team searched the property's old tool shed. Beneath a loose floorboard, they found evidence: a blood-stained shirt, rusted tools, and a set of keys. Further forensic tests revealed the blood belonged to Marina. April's recorded voice hinted at a conspiracy. "I tried to warn Valerie, but she wouldn't listen. She thought she could save him. She thought love could fix everything. But love is a lie." Monroe began to question. Had April's instability been exploited? Or was she part of a plan that went beyond jealousy or mental illness? Just as Monroe pieced together the timeline, a new character emerged. A man named Samuel Price, a private investigator with a grudge against Evan. Samuel had been hired years ago by Marina's family to uncover the truth, but disappeared after threatening Evan. Samuel's sudden reappearance in Maple Glen coincided, suspiciously, with Valerie's murder. The investigation was no longer about a single murder. It was about decades of lies, vengeance, and a secret that someone wanted to keep buried, no matter the cost. Late one stormy night, Monroe received an anonymous tip to visit the Knox property. In the cellar, behind the wine racks, she discovered a hidden door, one she never expected. The door creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Detective Aisha Monroe's discovery of the hidden cellar door marked the beginning of the darkest chapter in the Knox investigation. What lay beneath would not only reveal the truth behind Valerie's murder, but expose a network of secrets so profound that Maple Glen would never be the same again. The narrow staircase led Monroe into a small, dimly lit chamber, a secret room no one knew existed. Dust-covered shelves lined the walls, filled with old documents, photographs, and jars filled with strange, preserved objects. In the center sat a solitary figure, a man with graying hair and haunted eyes. He rose slowly, stepping forward into the light. It was Samuel Price, the missing private investigator. Samuel explained that years earlier, he had uncovered evidence tying Evan Knox to a series of crimes linked to the death of Marina, a woman from a rival family. Marina had threatened to expose Evan's role in the feud, and Evan had orchestrated cover-up that destroyed her family. But Samuel had found proof, letters, photographs, and a confession recorded in secret. When he threatened to go public, he was forced into hiding. Valerie had discovered Samuel's evidence and planned to use it to protect herself and expose Evan's lies. April Jennings, tormented by her love for Valerie and desperate to protect her, had acted to keep Valerie safe, but her method was tragically misguided. The injection April gave Valerie was meant to calm her, but it caused an overdose, resulting in Valerie's death. But the biggest shock came when Samuel revealed that he had been secretly working with April all along, manipulating her fragile mind to keep his secret safe. He was the real mastermind behind the chaos, using April as a pawn. Samuel confessed that he had entered the house the night of the murder, the figure in the footage. Evan Knox, though flawed, was innocent of murder. His past was stained, but he had tried to build a better life. With Samuel's arrest and April's commitment to a psychiatric facility, Evan was finally freed, though the scars of the ordeal would never fully heal. In the end, the darkest crimes are not always the ones that make the headlines. Sometimes, the greatest betrayals are hidden beneath the surface, in secrets, lies, and broken trust. Maple Glen slowly began to heal. Detective Monroe closed the case, her voice steady as she addressed the community. Justice is not always perfect, but it is necessary. Valerie Knox's story reminds us all to look deeper, to listen harder, and to never stop seeking the truth. As Monroe packed her files, a single photograph slipped from the journal, showing a woman who looked exactly like Valerie, smiling alongside a man with a tattooed hand. On the back, in elegant script, were 2 words: "Not done." Valerie Knox's story is a haunting reminder that sometimes the most dangerous prisons are built not with walls or locks, but with lies, control, and silence. It teaches us the vital importance of listening, truly listening, when someone reaches out in fear, and the courage it takes to break free from toxic relationships before it's too late. If you or someone you know is facing manipulation, abuse, or feels trapped in any way, don't wait. Reach out. Speak up, because silence can be deadly. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the cold and twisted case of Valerie Knox. If this story moved you, shocked you, or made you think, please take a moment to comment below. We want to hear your thoughts and experiences. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves to be heard and safe. Share this story with friends and family. You never know who might need to hear it. And subscribe to our channel for more in-depth, gripping true crime documentaries, where every story is told with care and respect. Together, we can uncover the truth and honor those who can no longer speak for themselves.